guided to talk about why spirit, or as in our own spiritual connection, which is really connecting us to the heart and our own internal wisdom. And like a lot of us will be familiar with an expression that we believe that a man called Jesus spoke to, which was knowing thyself, and to thine own self be true. Thine is the kingdom. The truth shall set you free. And why in these increasingly turbulent times, and in my own spiritual quest, it truly, truly is the only path to freedom here on this planet. And that liberation is really through the gate of our heart, and the knowing of the self, and the knowing of that deeper and broader connection to the entire cosmos, this entire universe, as we sort of funnel ourselves into these limited bodies in this dualistic and contrasting reality. And in my awareness on this planet, we're endeavoring a great spiritual awakening because the world is reflecting to us the extraordinary polarization. And we're witnessing, right? The cruelty, the division, the ignorance, the lack of awareness. And that in and of itself, as we're perceiving great wars on our phones and seeing things like genocides that I think a lot of us felt or believed that it would never happen again. Hala, Scott, pardon me. That extraordinary polarization that we're witnessing, that some of us probably believe would never happen again, you know, not on our watch, not in our time would we perceive something like the Holocaust again, and yet here we are. And while the Palestinian people are reflecting to us that integrity and resilience, a lot of us will reflect to one another and want to understand that these atrocities have been happening and they've been ongoing the whole time. Wherever there are rich resources on the planet, it would appear that the oligarchs are endeavoring to take hold and essentially steal these resources that we all share, because we all are inherently deserving on this planet. We all belong here and deserve clean water and shelter and healthy food, and these resources are ours to share. They're not, you know, for one corporation to own all the water, or for one corporation to own all the seeds to the foods. So the reflection of that extraordinary and extremist polarity is all at once kind of hitting back at us in our heart, to alchemize, to awaken, to inspire the human heart to remember our home here, right? And our belongingness here. And I speak to this because I am speaking to, I guess, other alchemists or empaths or light workers, whatever term you want to use. It's just people who feel, who through their heart's connection, they feel their common humanity. And that's part of why I will share vulnerably often and reflect that it is totally acceptable to cry and feel the pain and suffering of other people on the planet, because we truly are a big family. And sadly, some of the people that are leading, or people that are usurping and cooing and trying to take over, are all at once, you could say, deeply narcissistic, but deeply disturbed, you know, because anyone who with any empathy, it makes no sense to destroy people, to destroy and take and steal, and because from a spiritual and more virtuous place, what we do to other, we do to ourselves. So I can only imagine you have to be so disconnected from your own heart to be able to inflict that amount of pain. And to even think that it's appropriate to hoard things and to steal from people. So from an empathic and compassionate heart, you understand how deeply disturbed these people really are. And so it's sort of my own calling to continue to usher in a deeper spiritual connection from within us. And I can't give that to you, I can't force anything, right? But it is only my hope and my faith and my expectation that through the extremity and unfortunate suffering of the people, that we come back home to our heart and begin to feel and hold space for one another to feel our commonality, our unity, right? As we walk on this planet. Because let's be real, this planet is really beautiful. And she provides everything we need. See, I'm getting shivers, I'm getting like goosebumps. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And yeah, Scott, you remember, I think you even made a comment about it in one of my recent shares in my awakening moments. Just watching a sunset in Vancouver, British Columbia. I was on campus and I just started to weep, and like in the weeping through the connection to the sun, like somehow just like knowing and embodying that unity and being overwhelmed by the beauty that I was witnessing, right? And that continues over my life. That shared space really continues to guide me. And it's only through living through some of these cycles in my own personal life where I've been humbled and I've learned profound lessons in relating and in distortion of ego, of like thinking that having more money would set me free, or having the right partner would set me free or support me or something. And we are all supported by one another, and yet our intimate relationships aren't completing us, we're already complete. And it's in this completion that we know our freedom, through knowing of the self from a compassionate perspective, from a loving perspective. Why? Well, because it feels better. It feels better than holding grievance. It feels better than spouting hatred. It feels better than even trying to intellectualize it or like know it. Because there's an essence of the awareness that is unknowable, that we're living in this perpetual mystery, and that's part of the beauty of our beingness, right? I think that might be all I have to say. Once again, I'm on the rooftop after teaching a yoga class in Morocco, and it's getting busier here. It's like more of the high season, and pardon me, John Bennett in the house. None of my former grievances ever brought moments of peace. Exactly, and that's part of meditation and mindfulness and all that jazz. Is, I don't know if you guys can see in the distance, there's like loads of surfers out there. Oh, and like, no, I can't see and watch the same. Although I could probably like switch there. I don't know if you can see like enough, but you can see the surfers are all out there and getting ready on the beaches. Morocco is a pretty spectacular and juicy place. It's magical and very deep. Like the land seems to have this sort of restorative and alchemical energy about it. Even for me as a yoga teacher, whenever I've taught, this is my fifth time I think coming to Morocco, and every time there's just this like exquisite spiritual energy that seems to like support me and elevate me, and all at once make me feel really grounded and at home, but like expansive. So I'm really grateful for these different energetic vortices on the planet. I'm doing body sketches for my Swedish massage training. Holla! John Bennett in the house. Well done, dude. You've done your reflexology now, and now you're doing Swedish massage training. Amazing. think any of us continuing to do all those. This is the yoga shala, just a lovely space where we can practice. That's the barbecue. Every Thursday they have a big barbecue, which is lovely. Yeah, I always want to share the view because it's pretty spectacular. And all the surfers are just kind of low-key, chill and fun, and there's such an international vibratory here. Flowers, the colors, the textures, it's just a different vibe and it's beautiful. I saw a content creator recently share as well that like whenever you go to a different place on the planet, you literally feel like you're in a different dimension. People talk about multi-dimensionality, thinking that it's some like off out of, you know, in intergalactic out there in space, but actually we're living that multi-dimensional experience just on this one planet, right? And yet different places you go, you can almost access different aspects of self. And what a privilege it is to be able to travel. I learned that early on when I went to India, that just being able to afford to get a passport is a massive privilege. Being an English speaker is a massive privilege because it's such a dominant language, which in many ways is probably not great as far as it's a like a monopoly kind of thing on language, but I'm somebody who endeavors to at least learn some words, and inshallah is like God willing. Shukran is thank you in the local language, and they do speak some French here, so I'm often finding myself endeavoring to remember more of my French. Merci beaucoup et bonjour. And there's Germans and Dutch and Swiss, and there's people from Belgium and America. Have I met other? I know that I've heard that there's other Canadians here, but I've not actually met them yet. And I'm trying to think, like, we're French, of course, people from France. There's Italians. Who was it? Somebody said they live in Holland. They live in Holland, but or the Netherlands, but they're from Egypt. So there's just Morocco, Arabic, precisely. And I would say I could be wrong, but I'm thinking there's dialects, different dialects in these places. So welcome to 5T. Yeah, right. Oh, and now, okay, so part of the point of the message as well today was that, like, it really truly is our spirit that will keep us safe, and our spirit that will set us free. It's no amount of money, no amount of status or power in this world is like the thing. And that, to me, in my own awareness and my hope anyway, is why we're endeavoring this huge paradigm shift and mass awakening, is that the earth herself is ushering and sparking, and cosmically, I would say, like, maybe we're moving through a belt of the cosmos where earth herself is awakening to like a greater charge, which is all at once awakening her children, which is us. and as turbulent and as painful and as severe as some of what's going on in the world is reflecting to us, it's also showing us the end of that age. These people that would do harm and try to get more power, and we're seeing it with greater clarity, right? Like the truth of that distortion, the pain of that distortion, to sell out, to actually instead of containing our spirit within self, to give it away and allow it to be used against us, right? So, keep meditating, keep praying, keep loving, continue to encourage that love from within self, and to share it as benevolently and freely as we can. If your numbers destroy their own sandpit, yeah. Right? Like, there is that. Like, what's that quote? Remember, a mind disconnected from the heart destroys its host. So there's an aspect of detaching to focus our attention elsewhere, as in to focus our attention on our communities, like we are a community, obviously, and then all of us individually have our communities in our physical dimensional reality. And that's, you're allowed, you know, as far as like, that is appropriate too, detach, because our vibrating the love and the peace, I think, is more than enough. And then trusting in the different layers and pieces and places of society to rise and stand in their nonviolent power, right? Because I see that with the younger generations, like I feel it almost, like these younger generations are coming up, and they're already awakened. You know, like they recognize, they feel it, and of course, yeah, there's going to be an apparent loads of masses that are still veiled and ignorant and unconsciously following the rules, but the more extremism that we're witnessing and perceiving, the more I can see even people that are, say, part of the police force, or people that are you know, maybe working for the oligarchs or whatever, they will also awaken to their brothers and sisters. They will lay down their swords. They will lay down and join the masses, because it's in our heart. Like, the knowing isn't in the law or in the borders or in these illusions of the matrix that we've created over the years. And that's a token piece to remember. Our humanity has created these systems. We ourselves have gone through multiple generational trauma, and all of us on some level have inner work to do, to forgive, to let go, to humble ourselves, to listen to First Nations and Indigenous people, and to people who have and are going through these atrocities, because we're all accountable to a certain degree. Our cultures and our privilege, as in the whole idea of the American dream, the dark underbelly of the American dream is colonialist, imperialist slaves, like slave trade. So these wars and these migration, like, and that's like, mind disconnected from the heart destroys its host, is like, even someone like the American president right now, it's all, as in, the warmongering is creating the mass migration, and then they're going, oh, let's get rid of these migrants. I'm like, oh man, your military war complex is creating these migrants, and then you're being like, get out of our, it's like it's not yours. And once you come right down, I think, into the lowest common denominator of our common humanity, it's pretty clear to see. And so it's just our keeping ourselves safe and totally giving yourself permission to not engage with any of the politicization. You know, like, we were all taught, like, oh, know about the world. I disagree. I think knowing of the self, because we're all experiencing our world right in front of us. What's being propagated through our screens and through the media is indeed propaganda. It's psychological manipulation to control us. So the more we disenfranchise from that propaganda and we come back home to our own heart, the more freedom we have access to, the more expansive critical thinking we have access to, the more compassion we have access to. And it's like, it's not just for show, and yet you could even say it, if you want it on a very personal level, love, compassion, that makes you healthier. That will make you happier. Feeling, yeah, you might cry more, you might feel more, but feeling isn't a bad thing. Feeling is a beautiful thing, right? And in my personal experience in this body, once I started to endeavor greater shadow work or greater feeling, I became healthier. It's just how how the alchemical process works. Repression, suppression, oppression, it doesn't make us healthier. It makes us sick, actually. You know, and none of that pharmaceutical profit-driven matrix is actually, it's almost designed to perpetuate toxicity. So we can loop and try to find a medicine or find a blah blah that will make us well, but it's we ourselves that will heal ourselves, you know? Because that's the divinity we were all born with. That's the birthright that we all contain. And it's through knowing of the self that we can make appropriate choices for ourselves. And I say that, you know, with compassion for myself, continuing to work through my own addictions, and I can spend hours doom scrolling myself. And yet, the more I walk my own path, the more I can feel the embodiment of truth, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the choices I've made. I'm grateful to be here. I have no idea what's coming. I have no idea how it's going to unfold, but hold that loving vision for all of us. And I'm not frightened, you know. I think that is something so beautiful too. Like, I'm not in the fear anymore. And I wrote a book called The Fearless Life Guide, and there have been times where I thought, oh God, what have I done? It's like, because the high after publishing the book and witnessing some of the transformational aspects of deep alchemical emotional work, and then like a great fall, and like even deeper and more pain, and just being like, my God. And then it's like it's like an infinity loop, but finally coming out the other side, and then finding a stability, but like on a higher ground. So I'm holding space for all at once more darkness than I ever imagined possible, but also more light. And of course, I'm somebody who's endeavoring to continue to expand the light. So hala, have a wonderful day. I'm gonna refrain. If you like this video, please share it. Give her a like and a subscribe. Even our addiction for sure. You know, they're all just like children, I would say, in adult form, and the wisdom to me really, and the wisdom and the embodiment comes through the lived experience, which is unique for all of us, isn't it? Have a wonderful day, my lovers. I'll see you real soon. Take care. Peace out.